Welcome, folks, to SpineBlood's On the Fence The Ride. Use the right stick to look around. Hold R2 to zoom in. Before we start this attraction, please be aware that this ride deals with topics of a theological and psychological nature, including but not limited to creationism, evolution, and indoctrination, and has frightening imagery and sounds that may be disturbing to some riders. Please keep in mind that the ride's length is approximately
42
minutes long, so I must ask you to please remain seated and enjoy the ride in its entirety. If you are unable to ride at this time, please take your exit to the left. Do you wish to continue with the ride? Thank you and enjoy the ride. Please keep all hands, feet, and opinions in the boat at all times.
Well, howdy, Lemmy. The name's Bill Eugene Ramshackle. Most folk call me Farmer Bill. I'm glad you finally made it. Welcome to your new home at Ramshackle Pastures, the sheep farm that's been in my family for generations.
Well, is that a new face I see? Oh, give heed to the collie. Welcome, little lamb. I'm Ramsey. It is always a pleasure to meet a fellow member of the collie's flock. Wait a minute. You seem puzzled. Do you not know the greatness of the shepherd and his faithful companion, the collie? I see now. You haven't been enlightened, little lamb. Well then, let's start from the very beginning. The shepherd is the reason we are all here. The shepherd created everything. With thy crook of thy staff, he created the blue pastures that you see before you today, little lamb, along with the guardians that watch over us. He created the green pasture, along with the trees that shepherd did, the fences, the fields of corn, the barns, and then, little lammy, his greatest creation of all, the sheep, the first sheep named Gyro. And so the shepherd told Gyro that the blue pastures between the fence posts were his to graze. The only stipulation was that Gyro wasn't to graze from the fields of corn outside of the posts, which resided out in the green pastures. If Gyro disobeyed, he would be cast out into the woodlands of the green, where he shall have to fend for himself, without the shepherd's protection. As time moved forward, the shepherd knew that Gyro needed a counterpart. So the shepherd took one of Gyro's horns as he rested to create Peeta. She was told the same stipulations that Gyro was. Soon after, Peeta was strolling by the fields of corn and saw a wolf beckoning at her with a cob of corn in its terrible paw outside the fence. The wolf fooled her by saying it was the only natural way of life for a sheep to graze from the corn, that the shepherd was just greedy and wanted all that corn to himself just for him. So she took a big old bite of that corn. Peeta then presented the corn to Gyro and told him what that wolf had said to her. He took a big old bite as well. The shepherd immediately knew that his creations had disobeyed, so he covered them with wool as a reminder of the disobedience that took place that day. And then he cast them out into the woodlands of the green pasture, where those wolves flourish. The shepherd then separated the blue pasture and the green pasture, as they were not allowed back.
Out! Get out! Out!
The descendants of Gyro and Peeta struggled for generations upon generations, facing the hardships of life without the protection of the shepherd in the woodlands because of the disobedience that was displayed back in them blue pastures. But the shepherd was about to give sheepkind a second chance. So, the shepherd sent down his loyal companion, the collie, upon the green pastures with a mission. He was to tell the flocks all over the land that the shepherd had sent him down here to offer them a second chance of life in the blue pastures. All they needed to do was follow him by acknowledging that the shepherd sent him down to lead them back home where they belong. When a sheep truly accepts the collie's word, they'll know when the time comes to take their final step of life in the green. Their next step will be on the blue, alongside the shepherd. When the word got around to the leadership about the arrival of the collie, they didn't take too kindly of the flocks following someone other than them. So the leadership, they had the collie executed
on a post with wire of bars.
So that night, followers of the collie covered his body with a burlap sack. As the sun touched down upon the dew the next morning, the sack was removed and the collie was gone. Now the shepherd had this all planned from the very beginning. The collie's sacrifice that day was his way of creating a path for sheepkind to get back to the blue pasture after their time on the green had come to an end. So I ask you, friend, if you were to breathe your last breath today, would you be walking alongside the shepherd in the blue pastures up above? The collie will lead you to the blue when your days on the green are over. Only through the collie, only if you have faith in the collie up above. You must follow him.
Salutations, Lambkin. I'm Eugenia. I saw Ramsey speaking with you on your way in, or should I say, trying to inculcate ignorant ideals onto you. Look at me getting ahead of myself. If you have the time, I'd like to take this opportunity to educate you about the truths of this great round pasture we live on. Just head on into the Ramshackle Museum of Knowledge, and I'll be your personal guide. This museum is a place where we focus on facts. Unlike the faith-based college blog, we actually have evidence that supports our perspective. I'll try to explain this concept to you at a level where you might be able to comprehend. In the very inception of time and space, there was nothing. A blank canvas, if you will. It was all nothingness. Until an explosive expansion happened due to minuscule pieces of matter combining together. We call this the humongous boom. When the event transpired, everything was put into place to be molded and formed over many years. And it eventually led to the formation of our big round pasture, a web covered with streams, grass, and trees alike, along with everything around it, the sun and the moon and the stars. Now you may be asking yourself, that's interesting, but how did an explosion eventually lead to the life we live today? Let's move on, shall we? There once was a ram named Charlie, and he was an explorer with a bunch of unanswered questions between his horns that just needed answering. So he set out on a journey outside the fence post to try to find the answers he was searching for, and his discoveries were revolutionary. Charlie eventually discovers a type of bird he's never seen before. It was much larger than other birds and walked the ground instead of riding the winds, but it was in fact a bird. It had feet, feathers, and thin legs. The similarities were indisputable. He thought deeply about his findings and came up with a brilliant theory that this discovery, the chicken, and other birds of flight originate from the same common progenitor. This is called Charlie's branch theory. Let me put it this way, Lambkin. Imagine an acorn that's planted in a pasture. This little acorn represents the start of all life, and when it grows and changes, branches start to grow in different directions. Each branch represents a different chain of life starting to take form, depending on different variables. Branches form on those branches and provide even more branches, while weaker ones die, ending that life form's journey. It's a continuous cycle, leading to life we know today. But simply, some branches fall while others flourish. That's where the chicken comes in. It's at the end of the branch, with the other feathered friends we know of. They all originate from the same progenitor. But do sheep have a progenitor? Or any other life forms we might relate to? Why, yes. Yes, we do. Charlie discovered 2 other life forms on other pastures that seem to relate to us. He called them the cow and the goat. They have hooves on the end of their arms and legs, horns in the head, similar body type, shape, and posture. They even graze from the fields. All of this just like us. Even though sheep are on the more intelligent side. Certain sheep, that is. We come from the same progenitor as them. The evidence for this is very clear. All life comes from the same source, not some magical herdsman in the sky. Well, that's all sheep wrote. I hope I educated you enough for you to get a firm understanding of the fundamentals of life on this pasture we live on. Any questions before heading out, Lambkin? No? Well, then have a good night. It's getting quite late, and you's got to sleep. See you around, Lambkin. Oh, and Lambkin, don't let Ramsey rope you in with his old tall tales about that mystic mud. You're too smart to believe those ancient stories.
Oh, little lamb. Is Eugenia that wolf in sheep's clothing trying to lead you astray from the truth? That is exactly what the wolf wants. It tricks stray sheep to turn other sheep away from the college path so they can't be led to the blue pastures above. Now, I told you what happens when you follow the collie back to the shepherd. So let me tell you what happens if you don't.
Little lamb, whilst on the green you strayed from me path never to follow. Without ye willingness to walk beside me in life, I have no choice. I must forsake ye, without the shepherd's protection, and leave ye with the wolves of the woodlands.
Lost sheep like Eugenia are leading other sheep away from the college path. The wolf has a stronghold on these lost sheep and compels them to spread silly little lies, like sheep descend from goats. The wolf was the shepherd's first companion before the creation of the green pasture, but he hungered for the power that the shepherd possessed and tried to take it. So the shepherd had him banished to the woodlands and made it so that he always hungers. That's why the wolf fooled Gyro and Peter. The wolf knew if he could make them disobey the shepherd, they'd be tossed out of the blue just like he was. Then he could feast. However, when the shepherd sent the collie to lead his flock to the blue, the wolf noticed that the supply of sheep coming through his smokehouse was dwindling. He puts down to the collie's existence in the mind of the mole, persuades the sheep, and leads them away from the collie's path. And to this day, the wolf feeds on the sheep that end up straying from the college path after their demise. It's not a one-time ordeal. Oh no. This process, it happens over and over again. For all of eternity. Just like the wolf's hunger never ends. And every time a sheep goes through this process, experiencing every step of being cooked and eaten for all of eternity. The time will come when you will be face to face with the collie after you depart from this life. Sheep who chose to follow the collie in life will gain access to the blue pastures above. However, the ones who refuse to follow the collie in life will be endlessly feasted upon by the wolves till the end of time. Today is the day. Make the best decision you will ever make, little lamb. You must follow the collie while you are still on the green, so that you can be free of this overlooming torment and be where you belong. Accept the collie and give wool, little lamb, for these two simple actions will lead you to the blue pastures above, and away from that fiery smokehouse. Oh, the collie loves a generous giver.
Nancy, what's this now? Trying to instill fear into our new residents so they'll believe your little stories?
Wait, little lamb, don't listen to her lies. She will lead you astray.
I see it two ways. Either Ramsey is a wool-grabbing snake oil salesman offering a miracle cure for eternal life, or he's been spoon-fed these ancient tales since he was a lamb and actually believes them and thinks he's been chosen by the collie himself to hell fellowship by using indoctrination and fear tactics to compel them to join the flock. Either way, he is an egotistical manipulator whose methods are a danger to sheep's well-being. Sheep like Ramsey look for sheep who lack emotional stability or sound judgment, as well as the vulnerable young lambs that don't know any better and uses that in his favor. These poor helpless sheep are entranced by the kind demeanor of the collie's flock and the music that fills them with bliss. They get sucked right in. Bye bye, good sheep, have you any wool? Yes sir, 2 bags full. One for the shepherd who crafted us a pie. One for the collie who leads us to the sky. Being surrounded by mesmerizing music and flocks of sheep singing to their magic flutes during these get-togethers makes one feel as if they belong. So they'll return joyfully to this weekly indoctrination. Now, using fear and other tactics, these sheep can be conditioned and molded to believe in whatever this polar streak wants them to. These charismatic puppet masters pick and choose what they want their collection of marionettes to believe. And if they don't share the same beliefs, they just might risk being cooked and devoured in some terrible smokehouse in the wilderness, over and over again. They'll tell you by donating a percentage of your wool to the chapel will allow the collie to send his blessings down to you and give you a better life. But But how much of that wool goes straight to their personal buckets? They aren't even worshipping the collie anymore. They worship the wool they collect and become kings of greed. They preach harmful beliefs like two sheeps of the same sex cannot be in union, and is a surefire way to end up in the smokehouse. Not long ago, they said the same about sheep of different skin pigments. And don't get me started about how those stories always seem to allude to that hornless sheep, aka females, are lesser than the male sex. More often than not, ewes are viewed as troublemakers in those stories. What a wonderful thing to put in the heads of young ewes. Sheep like Ramsey tell you sheeps that think like me are wolves leading you astray. But to me, it seems the other way around.
Enough, Eugenia. Why are you doing this? Leading this lamb away from deliverance.
No, Ramsey. You're not doing this. You haven't let this lambkin take 2 steps here before starting your indoctrination process.
Oh, these thoughts of yours are not right, Eugenia. I'm not trying to trick anyone. I have a duty to save lost sheep. I wish you wouldn't work against the colony.
All I'm working against is the misinformation that you bleed out.
Oh, I see. I'm the one misinforming here, huh? You're the one leading this lamb down a path to be ripped apart, piece by piece, by the teeth of the wolf.
Stop putting fear into sheep with those over-the-top folktales, Ramsey. If you actually did some real research for once, you would have realized how far your beliefs are from reality.
Foolish you! You were talking to me about evidence and research when you believe that sheep come from goats of all things. Let me tell you right now, I ain't no goat, missy.
What? No, that's not what... If you'd actually listen to me, I would present that I believe that goats and sheep come from the same progenitor, and that...
You don't get it. We were all created by the shepherd. It's all written in this book right here.
Ramsey, if I wanted to read some fictitious literature, that'd be the last book I'd pick up. You should get invested in a real book. Maybe something from the non-fiction section.
No! Do you know what this book says? I speak the truth! This is the only possible answer! Why in the world do you believe that? Don't you understand how harmful your opinions are? I'm right. You're wrong.
Little lamb, it's time you have to choose what you believe. Don't reject the collie, as he is the only way.
You must accept a stance on what to believe. Hopefully by the facts I presented you, you know the truth.
You can't stay on the fence. What's this now? You two arguing again? And bringing our new friend in the middle of it. Why do you come with me? Let's have a little talk. Let me start by saying this. These two beliefs are utterly different from one another, contradicting with each other in every way. So, y'all two aren't exactly on the same page. I get that. But, why duke it out and drag our new friend through it all, and push your way of thinking onto them? You shouldn't do that. You need to let sheep think for themselves, form their own opinions. There's no such thing as a wrong or right side of the fence.
Now, listen here, Ramsey. I know your belief in the Kali is a strong one. You're just sharing what's important to you. But intimidating sheep with talk of a fiery smokehouse isn't going to win any non-believers to your side. Just because you believe in him doesn't mean you gotta push that belief on others. Focus on yourself and judge not the ones that believe differently. It's not your place. If you truly believe the Kali is the end-all be-all, let the Kali be that judge. Try showing kindness, love, and understanding to the unbelievers, for they may see you in a different light as before. You never know, your positive actions may inspire them to seek the Kali through positive means, instead of feeding into the fear of fire. With that being said, Eugenia believes the universe is formed over time, along with Charles's branch theory, and you believe it was created by the shepherd. Viewing sheep like Eugenia as some sort of evil influence beings, just because they believe in something different than you, is completely foolish. They are sheep, just like you, and you treat them as outcasts. Chances are you won't even try to understand why they believe what they do, because you're so focused on your slice of pie, you don't see the rest of it. So I ask you, stop vilifying sheep that believe in things you don't agree with. Why, maybe you could even take a trip down to the museum, Ramsey. If not open your mind a little, then at least try to understand Eugenia's point of view.
That's right, Ramsey. Listen to the farmer. You can't.
Trying to get the last word in, Eugenia? It's not just Ramsey. I got a few words for you as well. Eugenia, I understand your frustrations with the Kali's flock, but to boldly declare that they are wrong and insulting their intelligence based on what they believed in, to their faces no less, might not be the best way to go about things. Some sheep don't want to hear what you have to say. They need to be the one to change their own belief structure, if they reach a different conclusion. You have more in common with Ramsey than you think, Eugenia. You tend to focus on the negative aspects of the flock. Well, what about the positive? What the Kali's flock teaches isn't all misogyny, bigotry, and fear. There are some positive messages entwined. I won't defend the hateful things that some preach, but there are some loving messages to be said. Fellowship is a good example. These sheep are connected within a tight-knit community. They'll give the wool off their backs for one another. I'm not saying everything they say and do are right, but I tell you what, they care for one another, and probably care about you too. The comfort of life after death isn't anything to scoff at either. Think what you will about the process of following the Kali to reach eternal life, but when you lose a loved one, what's the harm of believing part of them went to live a better life, without pain and discomfort, on a great blue pasture? I say, as long as they aren't spreading fear, hate, bigotry, and greedy little schemes around, what's wrong with letting sheep believe that there's a beacon of hope, of life after death? It sure beats the ladder of darkness after death. No hope, no despair, just nothingness. All that's left of them is a rotten shell for the worms and maggots.
The inevitability of death is something we all have to face in our lifetime. So I say, believe what you must to cope with the realization that our bodies are fragile things and have an expiration date. With every breath we take, we lose another grain of sand in our hourglass.
Now listen, you two. Not all sheep are going to follow in the same direction. So why judge the ones who walk behind other beliefs? And you in the boat, you shouldn't just believe something because someone tells you their opinion. What am I trying to say? What right do I have to push my own opinions on you sheep? I'm no different than you two varmints. Talking to sheep? Why in the world would I be talking to sheep? What is all this? These sheep? This farm? Huh. I see. I'm in my own head. Ramshackle Pastures is just my teetering mind. My brain and all its thoughts and opinions. Those sheep ain't even real. They're the embodiment of the opposing opinions that live in my head. It's never easy with these two always fighting with one another. Will one ever become the victor? I don't know. I may never know. Maybe putting up a fence between them and staying in the middle is the best way to confront these feelings that I have. However, by holding on to these opposing beliefs, I may be turning these fences into cages, leaving these opinions to ingrain themselves in my wavering mind forever. If I were going to pick one of these beliefs, what would it be? What would be the outcome? Could I be risking my soul in relationships of loved ones? Or have I been brainwashed to believe these stories that people use for profit? Should I stay content with staying on the fence? What if I look for answers in places outside my mind? Maybe by seeking out the deity that my culture determined to be credible. Or by reading some non-fictitious works by some of the great minds of the past and present. I could always go get my mind checked out by a psychiatrist.
With a head like mine, maybe an extended vacation in a nice padded room without a view would be best. Why does this cognitive dissonance linger inside my head?
Seems the ride has reached its end, like all things do. Let me leave you with this before you take your exit. My thoughts and opinions are just unveiled to you all, but that's all they are, my thoughts and opinions. There are smarter people than I that believe in the contradictory sides of the arguments presented. Currently, we do not have definite proof on how or why we're here, and probably never will. But we do have a lot of theories on the topic. For all we know, we could be in a simulation. Imagine someone scripted you to say something in some sort of digital space. I'm getting off topic. In the end, we're all just sheep flocking together in this world, trying to latch on to some sort of truth that someone, somewhere, wrote inside some book. Listen, for whatever reason, we exist right now, and only have a limited time to experience this thing called life. With that being said, let's not dwell on why we're here. There are certainly more important matters to stress about. At the end of the day, we need to respect other people and one's opinions. Just because someone believes in something that doesn't line up with your belief structure, doesn't mean you have to try to convince them to switch teams. If they won't be able to change your mind, you certainly aren't changing theirs. These opinions are contradictory, so are dissonant, and harmony opposes dissonance. Life's too short, so all I ask is that we all try to live in harmony with one another while we're still here. Maybe my ramshackle mind can live in harmony too. Thank you for riding on the fence to ride.